Hi guys, my topic is ethnocentrism and relativism. Ethnocentrism is judging another culture solely by the value and standard of one's own culture. Ethnocentric individuals judge other group relatives to their own ethnic group or culture, especially with concern for language, behavior, custom, and religion. These ethnic distinctions and subdivisions serve to define each culture, ethnicity, unique cultural identity. According to William G. Summer, ethnocentrism is defined as the technical name for the things which one own group in the center of everything and all other are scaled and rated with reference to it. He further characterized it as often leading to pride, vanity, belief of one's own group superiority, and contempt of outsider. In study of anthropology, ethnocentric are people born into a particular culture that grow up absorbing the value and behavior of the culture, while develop a worldview that consider their culture to be the norm standard. And if people didn't experience other cultures that have different value and normal behavior, they will find that the patterns appropriate to their birth culture are not appropriate for the new cultures. However, since people are accustomed to their birth culture, it can be difficult for them to see the behavior of people from a different culture from the viewpoint of that culture rather than from their own. Examples of ethnocentrism include religion-centric constructs claiming and defined associations like divine nations, one of nation under God, God-owned country, God-chosen people, and God-promised land. Cultural relativism is the principle that an individual person believes an activity should be understood by others in terms of that individual own culture. It was established as accepted in anthropological research by Franz Bauhaus in the first few decades of the 20th century and later popularized by his students. Cultural relativism was in part of response to Western ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism may take obvious forms in which one consciously believe that one's people are the most beautiful, value the most virtuous, and believe the most truthful. And our ideas and conceptions are true only so far as our civilization goes. However, Bauhaus did know Bauhaus first articulated the idea in 1887. Civilizations is not something absolute, but is relative coined the terms. Franz Bauhaus, originally trained in physics and geography, argued that one's culture may remediate and those limits one's perceptions in less obvious way. He understood culture to include not only certain tastes in food, art, and music, or belief about religions. He assumed a much broader nation of culture defined as that totality of the mental and physical reaction and activities that characterize the behavior of the individual composing a social group collectively and individually in relations to their natural environment, to other group, to members of the group itself, and of each individual to himself. This understanding of culture confront anthropologists with two problems. First, how to escape the unconscious ban of one's own culture, with which inevitably bias our perception of and reaction to the world. Second, how to make sense of an unfamiliar culture. Generalization. Ethnocentrism, the tendency to assume that one's own culture and way of life represent the norm or are superior to all others. Cultural relativism, the viewing of people behavior from perspective of their own culture. That's